Welcome back, everyone. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, here at our NYSE CUBE studios, of course. We have our Palo Alto studios connecting Silicon Valley and Wall Street. This is part of our NYSE Wired series, a CUBE original program we've kicked off about a half a year ago, where we feature all the leaders. This is Retail Week, NRF has been kicked off. We got all the leaders coming in. You had CES the week before, NRF, 1-2 punch, physical AI, now you got retail AI, which is a little bit of both. It's all about agents. Jed Dougherty's here. He's the head of AI architecture, Dataiku. Jed, great to have you on again on theCUBE. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks very much, John. Happy to be here.
So obviously, you were talking off camera, you were at a pharmaceutical conference, now it's a retail conference. The themes are rhyming.
Oh yeah.
Let me guess, agents and AI.
Shocker, right?
What's your take on NRF this week? I want to get into some of the AI architecture stuff, but I really want to get your views on NRF first.
So yeah, NRF has been fascinating over the last few days. What I've really seen is that there's a few companies who are betting big, and a lot of companies that are hoping they can get away with staying pretty even. There's definitely a situation in which these big bets are scary to existing workflows, to existing revenue streams, and if you're big enough, maybe you're not willing to make that big bet. To me, the way these big bets are revealing themselves, a lot of it is pushing GenAI and AI out from the back office and in front of the end consumers. So how are you going to have your end consumers interact with you through GenAI? It's like the question everybody's trying to answer.
Which is the data.
Yeah. It's
so back office migration to the front office.
Yeah, it's
user touches.
Exactly. It's easy to say for back office, like, oh, we're going to enhance productivity by having our coders do more stuff using GenAI, right? It's a lot scarier to say we are going to provide some type of GenAI interface for our end consumers.
Based upon the data that's in the back office.
Yes, exactly.
Because the data surfaces in the front, that's generative, so it's going to be ready to go at a moment's notice.
Yeah, that back office, the use of back office data to curate a customer-facing front office or front of product experience is very powerful. I was just talking to the chief product officer at Stitch Fix, great company, who they were saying that they had spent the last 15 years, they have an advantage over maybe some of the bigger retailers. They've spent the last 15 years building AI products, essentially. They've been trying to decide which piece of clothing they should be shipping to their customers. It's been very easy for them to layer that Gen AI interface on top of their prior huge stack.
Because they did the work.
They did the work already.
So foundationally, they were prepped.
Exactly, yes.
All right, so what would you say, and you're based on, statistically, close, order of magnitude. The people ready and not ready. How would you scope the retail market, percentage-wise? When I say ready, I mean like really ready. Projects are rolling. Somewhat ready would be, okay, we could get up and running.
I think really ready is under 10%.
Wow, that's low.
Getting ready is maybe another 30%, and folks spinning their wheels and having no idea what to do is 60.
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
That's what's the issue? People? Is it infrastructure?
So we've got clients all across retail. We've got Love's Travel Stops. We've got LVMH. So that's you got your gas pump and your heel pumps competing with each other there. We got clients like Rolex, all of these different organizations, all within retail, all kind of struggling with what to do right now. And the ones that are able to move forward and the ones that are able to have a lot of success are the ones that have built trust and governance into the way they choose projects. So I think there was this big move. Well, I know there was this big move over the last couple years where it's like, oh my God, we need agentic AI, we need Gen AI. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? All right, let's just give 40,000 Copilot licenses to our entire organization and hope somebody builds something cool. And that doesn't work.
That's not a strategy.
That's not a strategy. That's just
that's hope.
Yeah, it's
a prayer.
Yeah, throwing stuff against the wall and see what sticks, right? The companies that have succeeded have identified the decisions that are most critical to their success, and then have built in a governance layer so they can choose which AI projects are actually going to greatest help those decisions. Our customers who are working on that type of thing, I think they have been helped by what we offer that really helps them with that governance layer. And when I say governance, I mean process governance. Who's going to sign off on this? Who is regulating this? Who's documenting this? How do we ensure that there's actually going to derive value?
I want to get into some of the architectural things you guys are working on because you're the head of AI architecture, which is awesome. But first, take a step back, context. Give a quick summary of what you guys are doing, the current strategy, products. Set the table for your value proposition, how you guys roll it out, and what it does.
Right, so Dataiku presents itself as the enterprise AI platform. However, platform, there's a lot of people talk about platform.
Everyone has it, they say.
Yeah. When we think about platform, you can think about a few different layers. Maybe at the base layer, you have data. So the folks providing your data are your Databricks, your Snowflake, your AWS of the world. On top of that, you have compute. So how am I interacting with that data? How am I processing it? How am I turning it into something useful? So there you can obviously think of NVIDIA, organizations like that. And then the layer on top of that maybe we forget about a little bit with these two is people, right? Who is going to be building things with this? If data and compute are all about how do I run these AI platforms, Dataiku believes in how do I build these platforms and how do I give people the right tools to build these platforms.
Basically interface with the data as a development product.
Exactly.
That's what you guys do.
Absolutely.
Data is the new software in that
yes.
weird way.
Yeah.
It's a data development kit. Go code.
I love it, yes, thank you.
Yeah, not a kit. Maybe I'm dating myself. When developer kit is an old construct. Here's some software development kit, go build.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what you're saying. And I think your point about the back office, the front office is interesting because what I've heard from other interviews, and I've had not just here, but other interviews, is that the Gen AI is interfacing with our data, because that's what it is. The prompts and the answers are the mechanism of how it's being delivered. There's some software involved, but ultimately it's the data.
Yeah, there's some nuance around that. When we think about vibe coding, which is kind of the hot thing right now, right? Everybody wants to vibe code. I vibe code all the time, for the record.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. There's a real
Until you have to connect 5 APIs together, and wait a minute, where's that database?
Yeah.
Spinning up a Postgres is pretty easy.
Right, I want a pretty fun end.
6 parameters.
I think there's a danger with vibe coding on data. And the challenge there is really, if I'm vibe coding a front end, right? I build a nice website. If I click a button and the button works, then I know the code was correctly written. If I'm vibe coding on top of a database, I can ask the question, what's my male to female distribution of buyers in France, right? And that's a relatively simple SQL query. It's going to go write that query. It's going to hit my database. It's going to give me a number back. But I don't have any way of confirming whether that number is correct without me reading all the code, which nobody's doing anymore. People are vibe coding without even knowing how to write code. And so how do we transition the data world into one in which we can be comfortable, maybe not vibe coding, but vibe talking to our data? And a lot of this kind of like text to SQL stuff, I don't think solves that problem, which is where a company like Dataiku that has a full visual interface for describing how data gets broken down, if I can converse with Dataiku, it builds me a visual interface. I can check, make sure that it's working well, and that it's answering the question correctly. That then allows me to apply this vibe coding paradigm to big data. And there's a big gap there that I think
I think vibe coding is just a great way. It's like the first version of ChatGPT. It was elementary but groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And if you look back now at ChatGPT's first rev, it kind of like is that Netscape browser mode. Oh man, I can't believe that fonts are so terrible. But it's like it just got incrementally better. So I guess my question is, as agents come on board, that's a tailwind for you guys because now the agents can fill in the gaps where my API comment gets solved. Okay.
Yeah.
He wants to connect to a database. That's not in the vibe coding maybe kit, but it's an enterprise secured with identity.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think I don't know if this is going to be too nerdy of a statement here, but the evolution of agents, I think what we're very quickly going to be seeing is exactly what you're saying, is that the agents are going to write code on behalf of the user to solve whatever the question that user has is. So you don't have to have 10,000 tools. The agent is going to write the tool on the fly to do the thing to give you the information back. All right, so what is the biggest
AI architecture best practice or use or thinking architecturally? I mean, we're in a systems architects mode right now. You got developers and system architects. Those are the two hottest areas in my mind that are most active on the long game. setting the table, setting the foundation, because that's what's happening. You got to look at AI infrastructure, that's all about architecture, how am I dealing with the memory, it's all the internals, if you will. And then devs, that's what can devs do. So what's, in your mind, a good way to think about the different categories of companies, small, medium, and large, that are thinking through, and again, budgets aren't massively growing. I mean, no one has NVIDIA money.
No.
I mean, unless you're JP Morgan Chase with $10 billion of IT budget a year, not everyone has that kind of cabbage.
So I think I'm going to twist this one a little bit to talk about how you should be making your architecture decisions. And I think there's a real risk of saying, okay, we're going to have our developers over here and we're going to have our architects over here, and they're going to be making all of the decisions on how we're going to be spending our IT budget on GenAI. And meanwhile, you have the business users over here or the people over here who may actually be deciding which applications and which interfaces you should be building. What do I show to a customer? The IT guy doesn't know. This business person over here knows. And if they're making decisions in isolation from the actual business users, from the people who know the business, you're going to have a massive waste of money. It's a huge problem. I think that
that's why I like your vibe coding crossover to, reliable pre-production grade thinking. Because like when I did my vibe coding, it was all the projects that I wanted my team to build, but I didn't have time to even go to the meetings to describe it.
Totally.
So I just did it in a weekend. I was hanging around, oh, this is cool, look at this great app I just built. This is what I want. Almost like, it's like my PowerPoint. It's like here, but I'd love to finish it without involving the team. Get on Slack, hey, I need credentials for that server. This is where you start to see kind of like the Lego block thinking.
Totally.
That's a business user mindset.
It's absolutely, it's very similar to the data science problem of 10 years ago. Of like, oh, I have all these.
Explain that.
Okay, the data science problem, which anybody who's worked with data science, I used to be one, knows.
When it for 10 years really kind of came on the scene.
Yeah, it's hot. Everybody was like, we got to go hire some data scientists. Sexiest job in America, yada, yada. And those data scientists built out models and algorithms that ran on their laptops and worked once. And they were like, our job here is done. And then there was this huge painful gap of productionalizing what the data scientists had built so that enterprises could actually get value out of it.
Because they were math nerds, they were statistics, they were building the dashboards.
I want it to work once, and if it works once, that's good enough for me.
Go scale it.
Why do I need to worry about my database access credentials, or if it's going to respond in 30
not my
milliseconds
job.
versus
not
200?
My job. Is there?
Yeah, and then whose job was it? I don't know. Then these projects fell by the wayside. If that's what happens with vibe coding all over again, then we've really learned.
It's kind of happening.
Yeah, I know.
It is kind of happening right now.
Yeah, it's a real risk.
All right, and so the solution is, you guys have a solution for this.
Yeah, it's called Dataiku. The company.
Give an example. Give an example. Take us
Sure.
through a working example, because I think this is where the innovation can turn into a toy view, versus a real productivity gain. Explain how you guys cross that over.
Sure. So let's say you're working in insurance claims. I know it's a very boring example, but it's one that everybody understands.
Yeah, and it's an easy way to improve something.
Sure. Claim comes through, many different decisions need to be made on it, you probably need to go pull information about it, there's an approval or deny situation, and then you have to keep track of what happens to that claim afterwards. Now, right now, in today's world, that multi-step process is being performed by some combination of actuarial work, by claims processors, by intake workers, maybe by a legal team. You have a bunch of humans in the loop across this entire process. Now, we're going to be able to start agentifying aspects of this thing, right? But the actual building of each one of these agents cannot be done by IT. It needs to be done with the help of the experts who are currently working on that flow. And with Dataiku, these experts are going to be able to work directly in an interface with IT, build out the things they need, and then instead of shipping it off to somewhere else and it gets programmed and returned 6 months later, it's ready to go. It's production ready.
I mean, IT is curating, not building.
Exactly.
They're just verifying connectors, delegation, credentials.
And so if it's not IT building, who is building? It has to be the business users.
Okay, so what's on your agenda for this year? How do you see the retail and other verticals? Because it's clearly, when you get into domain-specific expertise, that's where this shines. But you also have the horizontal platform needs too. You got to have, horizontal scale, but vertical specialization. That's where the innovation is. What's the focus?
I think there's don't know if this is the ultimate focus, but it's one that I'm very familiar with, so maybe it's worth me speaking to, is the decision from an architectural level across all of these different organizations between, am I going to run my own model, or am I going to continue paying the API services? Right? Am I going to spin my own stuff up? Am I going to buy a bunch of NVIDIA GPUs myself? Or am I going to continue to trust Anthropic and OpenAI to be worth the per token investment under the assumption that they're going to keep rolling things out faster than I could on my own? And like, okay, what are my data privacy policies and everything like that? Please.
I want you to, well, you can share your data. My opinion on that is that I think it's going to be a hybrid. Yeah. I think if you're serious about being competitive in the future, you have to have your own model. If you have data, you have to have your own model. I'm as encouraged by Amazon Web Services Frontier Agent and the Nova thing that they had where they said, oh, here's a half-baked, distilled, go take this and make it your own. I think DeepSeek pointed to that you don't really need the entire web. You need to have a distillation of that here. So I think there's going to be fusion between domain-specific models that are highly accurate, vetted, bulletproof, and then integrating in with some sort of parameter pass, I don't know what to call it, but like integrated neural connection, to say. But that's the, I just don't see any other way because, and those guys just cannot, unless they have a service that comes out that says, unless OpenAI and Claude say, hey, we will distill for you. That's possible. I just don't see that. I think if I'm a customer, I'm like, yeah, I really, you know, my crown jewels.
Yeah, I want my own stuff.
And I might not need a huge rack from
This is my market differentiator.
I might need a small GPU box that from NVIDIA and some compute.
Yep. Yeah, I think that everybody we talk to who's big enough is
what do you think
some
about
type of hybrid. Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah, definitely. We've been working heavily with NVIDIA. They have something called NVIDIA AI Enterprise, in which they're rolling out their own models that are optimized to work faster and cheaper on NVIDIA hardware. And we have seen a big shift to that. Not necessarily, nobody's moving entirely away from the API-based services, but for specific use cases, for situations where you need to inject a whole bunch of your own information or your own private company data, this does become a more sensible, more effective solution.
All right, so what's your priority for the year? What's on your agenda? What events are you going to be at? What are you optimizing for? What's your focus?
So a lot of
like 5 questions in there.
Pick one. Hold on.
I'd love to find out what events you guys are going at because we're going to hit a bunch of events. But what, I mean, as you guys develop this, you're on the front end of this wave. Again, every vertical is beautiful for you because you can basically bring data to the front end.
Yeah. A lot of my focus this year is on further cementing our relationships with the other players in the space. We know that we're never going to be the only piece of software inside of somebody's data stack, and we want to make sure that we are the best piece of software on top of the NVIDIAs, the Databricks, the Snowflakes, the OpenAIs, the Anthropics of the world, because that's why people choose us, right? So a lot of what I'm doing is talking to those other companies. It means a lot of flying to San Francisco, to be honest. The other big thing that we are investing heavily on, and you're actually the first people I've ever told this to, is we're opening our own open source office. So we've just hired a director of open source who's going to be reporting to me. We're making additional hires in the Bay around open source projects. And we're going to be investing heavily in open source applications that are specifically around GenAI governance, trust, security, control. Yeah,
that's a good call. I think one of the things that you're pointing to, and this, we've seen it certainly in the semiconductor side, tightly integrated products, engineered, not just bolt-ons.
Yes.
Engineered is the new ecosystem. The old ecosystem was, hey, API, we're in partner, hey, we sell together, all good. I'm talking about like tightly coupled integrations. That's something that you guys see?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what you're doing.
Yeah, well, and if you think about when I was
you want to be that layer, you get to be the best.
If we're the people layer, the compute layer and the data layer wants us to be as tightly integrated into as many of their capabilities as possible, because that encourages them to bring us
and your performance has to be right next to the next best token, Jed, thanks for coming on. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Wrap up the day.
Yeah.
On
Real
Retail
pleasure.
Trailblazers. You know, Retail Trailblazers is our new series in AI featuring the leaders, you know, from AI architecture to front end of the front office of retail. The user experience will ultimately be determined by the people who can make the effect, the change the best. That's the domain experts. Of course, you got to have the scale and the business operations all going to be tightened up with AI. We're doing our best to bring that to you. Thanks for watching.